I remember the first time I came across this next series of exercises. I was taking a continuing education course and the instructor said, if your clients get to level 4 on this exercise, then they're never going to have hamstring strains. That got my attention. Check them out. We'll see how they work for you.
When we had Ta Wei walking on the treadmill, we talked about the hamstrings being a double jointed muscle. And this next series of exercises is great to show that in action. So what we're gonna do is a 4 exercise series of hamstrings progression using the Swiss ball. So for the first progression, Ta Wei is gonna bend his knees 90 degrees. And we're gonna bring the ball a little closer to his hips. You'll notice that he has his hands on the floor next to him. That provides a bit of support so he doesn't roll from side to side on the Swiss ball as he does this. He's gonna keep his knees bent 90 degrees and then bridge his hips up. So we've got the knee flexion and hip extension working together for those hamstrings. Go ahead and bring the hips down there, Ta Wei. It's a good looking technique. Let's see that again. So this is level 1. Ta Wei can also do this unsupported, meaning he's gonna put his arms across his chest and now he'll have to stabilize against that side to side movement a bit more. Yeehaw. And then coming back down. Go ahead and keep a rhythm on that, Ta Wei. So one of the things I often see is the distance between the ribs and the pubic bone opening up, which effectively arches the lower back. So the pelvis tips forward and the ribs spread out. Do you want to show us what that looks like, Ta Wei? Sure. So as he comes up, the lower back arches a bunch and he's not using his core as effectively, and that can put more stress on his lower back. So go ahead and come on back down. So we want to keep the core like a cylinder that keeps the rib cage and the pelvis together as one unit. Let's see another rep here just to show them before we go to the next progression. That's it, and then coming back down. So I'd recommend working to 2 sets of 15 reps with a 30-second rest interval before progressing to the second level. Level 2, we're gonna add a knee curl, an active knee curl with it. So Ta Wei, go ahead and lift your hips up off the floor. You'll notice that his body from the ankle all the way pretty much to his shoulder joints is a straight plank. Again, he's not overarching the lower back. He's keeping the ribs and pelvis together like a cylinder that's holding it all as one unit. Go ahead and curl the knees here and raise the hips up. And then straighten them and let the hips come down. So this is level 2. A little bit more challenging. Again, everything's staying tight in the core. Go ahead and do another rep. Show them what it looks like. So one of the things I typically see is the hips staying behind. Go ahead and leave the hips low and just bend the knees. So this is what I often see with this one, and it's not anywhere near as effective because it doesn't get that double jointed capability of hip extension and knee curl together. Go ahead and straighten the legs, and of course, Ta Wei can do this with his arms across the chest. Yeehaw! It's very challenging, yeah? So let's see, show us one good solid rep of that, Ta Wei. Notice how he's leading with the hips to have those come up high and curling these at the same time. Great exercise for the hamstrings. Level 3, man, this gets really challenging. So we're gonna do the level 1 progression, which was just the hip bridge, but with one leg. Give him hell, Ta Wei. See what it looks like. Oh, and then coming back down. It's great. Keep that knee bent 90 degrees, nice and tight. Go for it again. Keep it bent. There you go. Awesome. And then coming back down. Level 4. This one's the granddaddy of the Swiss hams progression. So go ahead and bridge the hips up here. So Ta Wei, just like he did in progression level 2, is going to curl the knee and bridge the hip up simultaneously. Super challenging. You can see how Ta Wei's pelvis is tilting forward a little bit and putting a little arch in the back. It's because it's very challenging, so it's hard for him to hold his core tight. That's totally to be that happens because it's a very challenging progression. Go ahead and straighten the leg out. And let's see that again. Keeping the ribs and pelvis tight together. Now extend through that hip, Tawe. Lift it up high. There you go. That's it. Now come on back down. Beautiful. Go ahead and set the hips down. So that's a super challenging movement. Of course, his next progression would be to do it unsupported. Soccer players, sprinters, those of you that can do this, level 4, you will not have hamstring strains. This is a great exercise for preventing hamstring strains.